All right, y'all ready? We've got Kentucky and Lexington on Saturday night at 7:30 on the SEC Network. And you turn the tape on, they got an outstanding football team. They're a reason why they are where they are. They are a very athletic football team. They got a lot of length at multiple positions. They got a very good team speed. They're physical on both lines of scrimmage. And Mark and his staff have done a really good job of recruiting him going into his sixth year there at Kentucky. But defensive, they're second in our league in total defense. They're third in scoring. Very active. They play the way you're supposed to play. They got 8 senior starters. So they've got a lot of experience. They're very active at the linebacker position, especially Jordan Jones, a very instinctive player. And I think Josh Allen's probably an elite rusher, one of the better rushers in our league and certainly the country. But got a lot of guys that can make a difference. They get their hands on a lot of balls in the secondary, a lot of length, 6'2", 6'3 plus, and run extremely well. So they recruited extremely well on that side of the ball. Offensively, Eddie Grand's our offensive coordinator, who's done an outstanding job. They lead our league with 270 yards rushing. Obviously, Benny Snell is an outstanding back. Runs violent, runs tough, competitive, runs the way you're supposed to run. And you got to really respect him. A big physical offensive line. They do a good job getting a hat on a hat in the run game and in protections. And Rose and King are 2 really good running backs that back him up. And Terry Wilson's been a very good addition for them. Signed with Oregon out of high school and then was at junior college for a year. Is completing that right at 67% of his passes and can really run. Very athletic guys. We got to do a good job with pass rush lanes and being disciplined on all the zone reads and the different looks that they give you. Conrad's an outstanding tight end, and Lynn Bowden has got 20 receptions on the year. He's a really explosive guy on the perimeter that they'll use him in a lot of different ways. So special teams, Dean Hood is a very good coach. As our coordinator does a great job. They play very aggressive on teams, and again, they've really recruited to good team speed. That's what shows up on tape, and it shows where they are right now. But got a good football team, got a work cut out for us. I thought we had a really good practice today in our preparation, and our guys understand we need to go play well. Injury-wise, Casey Crosby had surgery on his finger. Should be fine for game day. Did not practice today. I think he'll practice in parts tomorrow and certainly will be full go on Thursday. And Ortre Smith is going to have surgery next week, a genetic issue on his knee. It's a sublux kneecap. It slides out about 40%. It is very, very painful. It's something he has been dealing with over a long period of time, obviously, but certainly it's really affected him this training camp. He's had a hard time with it. We've exhausted about every measure we could medically to alleviate the pain and days off and different things, and I'm really frustrated for him. I know he's been extremely frustrated this fall not playing at his full go potential. And we'll have the surgery that'll end his season for this year. He should be back for spring ball. And Jamel Cook will sit this year as far as eligibility is concerned. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Well, obviously, this was the game where Debo got hurt last year. Has he approached this week with any kind of extra, I want to get this one, or has it been pretty steady like he has all
We've
season?
got a very business-like approach. Debo and Bryson Allen Williams both were hurt in this ball game last year. So, we were dealt a serious blow last year losing both of those guys. So I've been very pleased with how they approached today. It's been our first day back as far as practice is concerned, being Monday being our day off. So very pleased with their progress.
With Jamel Cook, was he eligible for the season? Did the NCAA deem him eligible, or are you just taking a preemptive?
No, he's not eligible for the season.
He's not eligible. He's just going to sit.
Mm-hmm.
Will, with Ortre's surgery, how long a recovery time is that?
I'm not positive on the surgery, and I'm just trying to think in terms of me as a coach. I think it's the first time I've had a player that had this sort of issue. I talked to Tayshia's mama last night. She actually, as an athlete, had a similar. Her kneecap's the same way. So, but just really frustrated for him. As an athlete, the worst thing you do, especially as a receiver position, is take a young man's legs away. As far as that, and I know, Ortre never complains about anything. That's, you ask him, you okay? I'm good. But it doesn't look like he's good. And so eventually he finally divulged to us it's been hurting a lot, and he's been in a lot of pain. So it's been very frustrating.
But you're expecting him back next year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
In comparing Snell and Swift from Georgia and the troubles you had in getting him down on first and second tackles. How do you address that issue with your defense for Snell?
Well, you got to swarm the ball, Phil. That's the bottom line. You know, and when you play really, really good backs, you know, they're gonna make you miss. They're gonna break some tackles. You've got to swarm the football. You got to leverage the ball the right way. The ball carrier is never down till the whistle blows. You got to finish on the ball carrier, and you got to have the right mindset going into the game. You know, and that's I think that's something that's really important when you play a back like Snell, because he is a guy that you're going to have to gang tackle to get on the ground.
Coach, up top, what's the emphasis from the coaching staff this week, you know, taking on a Wildcat team, of course, you know, leading the SEC in rushing? What's the thing that you guys are really emphasizing to your players this week?
Well, you know, it's the same emphasis we have every week. It's about winning your one-on-ones. You know, at the end of the day, football is a game where you're matched up against another person. Sometimes you might have to face a double team, but you got to win your one-on-ones. And we talk in terms of winning downs, which wins possessions, and you win enough possessions, you win games. So our approach never changes as far as that's concerned.
On the injury report, just Chad Terrell, I apologize. Had he been cleared? I know you'd mentioned late September, so I didn't know where he was just at in his recovery.
He did practice some today in a non-contact jersey. He has not been cleared for contact, but this was the first day he's been cleared to practice with us. He probably went maybe 7 periods or so and looked good, but he's not been cleared for contact yet. I would guess maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe.
Talked a lot about Benny Snell. How do you mimic a guy like that in practice, and do you do anything different knowing he's kind of a downhill back?
Well, I don't know you can mimic. There's not many of them out there. You know, again, you need to emphasize gang tackling. You need to emphasize swarming the football. You need to emphasize finishing on the ball carrier. I mean, those are obvious things that you talk about every week, but obviously the antennas are up a little bit more because our players respect him as a football player and a running back.
How have you addressed the losing streak with your team?
We haven't talked about it. It's a 2018 South Carolina football team versus a 2018 Kentucky team.
In terms of your explosive plays offensively, are you happy with the number you're taking? Probably not happy with the number you're getting, but are you happy with the attempts you're making?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I really am. I went back and I do a quality control on all units, and you know, looking after even just say take out the Vanderbilt game, our first, I can't remember off the top of my head, but physically throwing the ball down the field over 20 yards, I want to say it was something like 16 times in the first 2 games. Now, there was more called down the field that weren't thrown because of dictated by coverage or whatever the case may be. And I may be wrong on that number, but I was extremely pleased with the aggressive mentality down the field.
Coach, this is the first Kentucky team that started the SEC slate 2-0 and beat 2 back-to-back opponents in 41 years. What is separating this group from other Wildcats teams of the past?
Well, again, I think that they play very good complementary football defensively and how they play to what they do offensively. And they create a lot of, I think they're second in our league on third down conversions offensively. They're very efficient because they manage 4 third down. They make it very difficult for you to get off the field. They don't give you a lot of negative plays on offense, so they're not in a lot of bad down and distance situations. Their special teams are always going to be a positive for them as far as the battle for field position is concerned. So, again, I think it's a very complete team as far as you look at offense, defense, and special teams and how they play. And you got to credit, Mark and his staff.
Well, in talking to the team about 2018 South Carolina versus 2018 Kentucky, did you think you had to do that to kind of diffuse some of the noise out there? And how confident are you that your team is, strong enough to?
I really don't think so, because from a standpoint of we talk about in this program every week is a season, and then we're going to put everything into this week. We're going to worry about the things that really matter and that can affect us in the ball game, and that's our preparation and how we prepare and how we meet and how we walk through and how we practice and the amount of time we spend on football outside the building. We put new installation in today like we do every single Tuesday. And, we got to clean up some of those things. And I told the guys, the really good players that I've been around, they're going to go back individually and look back at the things they need to do to improve and to get ready for tomorrow morning's meeting. And they're going to be prepared mentally for tomorrow morning's meeting for a very physical Wednesday practice. And that's what we need to do. We need to control the things we can in our organization, and that's our preparation right now. That's what prepares you to play well on game day and create yourself an edge, and your edge ought to be your preparation.
How encouraged were you by the play of the offensive line last week, and how big will that be against a pretty good Kentucky front?
Oh, absolutely. This is a very stout group inside in how they play, and they've got really good edges, obviously Allen being one of those edges. So they do a really good job with that. But I've said it, through training camp, I've been very pleased with the progress our offensive line has made. We've got to continue to bring the young players along. That's going to be an important part moving forward because there's a lot of football to be played. But the progress that we've made, I've been extremely pleased.
About Kinlaw on Saturday, but after going back and watching the film and seeing the other things that we might not have seen, how proud are you just the way that he just continues to grow, especially just being here for his second year?
Well, again, I think you either get better or worse every single day. Whether you're a coach or a player, it doesn't really matter. And he's been a guy that's come to work every day with the right kind of mindset and mentality to improve and get better. And certainly had a very productive day Saturday, obviously. So the challenge now moving forward is, so what, now what? What are you going to do now? And he understands it. First thing I saw him, when I saw him Sunday, wasn't a great job, wasn't it? So what, now what? What are you going to do now? That's what he needs to respond with, and that's what I believe he will.
Javon earlier today kind of said he doesn't like to talk too much junk to the other team, and he also tells his defensive teammates, encourages them not to talk as well. I guess, is that something you encourage from him? Do you like seeing that? And is that what does that kind of say about him as a leader and sort of a figurehead on this
I
team?
think it's a really good thing. I think in order to have the right kind of mindset, to me, part of that's being composed. And sometimes when you lose your composure, you don't always make the best decisions. So I think composure is a really good talent to have as far as in these situations.
Will, how did Shi Smith get on your recruiting radar, and what do you remember about him from his high school days?
Tannehill, old Gamecock. He was on the sidelines on Saturday, matter of fact. But no, Shi was a great player in our state, a fantastic player up at Union. Probably the most impressive part, obviously I loved his tape, but then you got him in camp. And this guy is really, really fast on the top end, phenomenal ball skills, competitive, tough. I mean, he could go play corner, nickel, or safety for us right now and be really, really good at it. But he's not. He's going to stay on offense. Nobody panic. But, he's a guy that I've been extremely, pleased with how he's come in and handled last year, being thrust into a very prominent role on our team when we lost Ebo. Some guys, how they respond to that, you saw a very mature response in handling the spotlight, so to speak, and has continued to move forward. A very competitive young man.
What's the most significant difference you've seen in Kentucky's program from the time Mark took over till now?
I think as much as anything, and Mark's really been there for more of the duration that since I've been a head coach, at Florida and now at South Carolina, is just the way their team looks. When they come out on the field, that's what you're supposed to look like. They got great length. They've got girth on both sides of the ball. They've got athleticism. When you watch them move around, they've got playmakers. You turn the tape on and you see Terry Wilson, you see Lynn Bowden, you see Benny Snell, you see some of his backups, which is King and Rose are really good players. Conrad's an outstanding tight end. You look on defense, Josh Allen's going to be an elite guy as far as the pass rush is concerned. The girth they have on defense, the experience and talent level they have on the back end. It's a good football team.
Have they given you any update on the progress in finding a replacement game for you?
Not at this time, Phil, no.
You mentioned Sunday night about putting more on Jake at the line of scrimmage, pre-snap stuff. Can you quantify how much more y'all have done that way compared to last season before?
Well, I would say a lot more, just from a standpoint of trying to get us in the best, run look, run to run, run to pass to pass, from a protection standpoint, being able to change the protections. But I think as much as anything, more RPOs, because that's when you talk in terms of critical decision making. You got to catch the snap first. You got to make sure everybody's set. Then you got to catch the snap. There's a lot of moving parts going on out there, and you got to make a decision. You handing it off, or you're going to take the shot down the field. I mean, that seems very pedestrian, but it's not. It's very difficult to make really, really good decisions, and his decision making in 3 games has been really good.
Will, with your 4th game coming up, do you, and the new redshirt rule, do you kind of start to quantify some personnel decisions, some decisions you've got in your head about, hey, we want this guy to continue playing, or maybe it's best that they continue?
Yeah, we've had those discussions as far as when we meet on Wednesday and Thursdays as a staff. We have discussions on who's up for the game and situationally. We have a lot of discussions as far as those things are concerned.
Will, have you noticed the scene at Kentucky at their stadium getting more intense and more impressive as they've gotten a little better?
I guess we were there 2 years ago. They've done a nice job expanding the stadium. Yeah, they do a good job.
I guess coming off the defensive performance against Vanderbilt, the numbers they give us look really good. But were there some areas coming out of that you said we kind of want to clean up, and what kind of were
There were some things we missed in the secondary that we're not taking advantage of because our rush was really good, our 4-man rush and 5-man rush that, quite frankly, if Sherman had more time, probably would have exposed us. There were some things we just need to clean up as far as leveraging the right way, covering down the correct way in a bunch situation or 2-man stack, motion adjustment. Wasn't anything glaring, but certainly I felt like if he had had more time, Kyle probably would have seen it.
Just to make sure Rashad is full go, he's okay with the quad
Yeah,
and everything?
he practiced today. He's good. All right, thank you very much.